Guys, I am at a loss for words when it comes to Iggy and Scorch. I have not touched him since Legacy. And I think you're about to find out why I feel so weird doing a hero building guide on him. Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a hero building guide. I am Sylphin. The first hero building guide I'm going to do on Iggy and Scorch is Frontline Iggy since Legacy. Because I tried him out and it worked pretty darn good. It certainly worked much better than all damage Iggy. So we're looking at Frontline Iggy today, and boy is it interesting. So of course it's the Centurion as your prime card because you're being frontline, you need that health. Now in the early game you have a whole bunch of options just because we had some healer tokens, or so we have some equipment slots that we can definitely use up. Health potion, mana potion, Scout's Ward. We want to be really nice and versatile in the mid lane. You can get the healer potion and healer token if you are in the off lane. You can get Scout's Ward, healer token. You can get whatever you want in the early game, as we just have some options there. Now the next card that we are going to get here is our Guardian's Ward. Here, this is just Guardian's Ward for some health and some damage. Then we go into a Burn Blood Powder. You can get this earlier on, especially if you're in the off lane, for that mana regen. Mana regen will be very nice for Iggy and Scorch, just like all casters. After this Burn Blood Powder, you can go for an Armivore. What this does is on basic attack, hit, restore 6 mana. Excellent, excellent, excellent on Iggy and Scorch, just so you can really put down those turrets and be defensive or just offensive if you really want to use his oil spill. So Armivore, great card for Iggy and Scorch. It really is fantastic. After that, you have some options with the Blink Shot, Blink Charm. Both of them are here, so that if you burn the Blink Shot or you burn the Blink Charm, you can put the other one on. It's just like that. And then we have some more health here on the Elder Mage Amulet. Quite a bit of damage in the early game, just so that, you know, lots of damage isn't necessarily flying across the battlefield, so you can actually do something with them in the damage department, push lanes, defend lanes, etc., etc. After that, we go into the end game deck. All of this nonsense down here. We have a Tempered Plate, we have a Thermobond, we have a Tainted Magic, we have Ash of the Witch, we have a Stasis Gem, and a strong Guardian's Ward for a whole bunch of health. Really, it's totally up to you what you need in the moment, what you think is more appropriate. Personally, the Stasis Gem is really, really fantastic to get. Just because obviously you can hit that when you're about to die or when some key things are about to happen and just totally screw up the enemy team. Ironically, you probably should go into this Guardian's Ward and replace your weak one for this, get all that health, and then go into all of this nonsense down here with the Thermobond, Tainted Magic, Ash of the Witch, Stasis Gem, and Tempered Plate. All of that stuff, great. You have some options here on this Tempered Plate and this Thermobond so that you can kind of switch it, so you can switch it around if you want guard instead of health or health instead of guard, just to kind of tailor this to what the enemy team comp is. So that is the deck, guys. Thermobond, Tainted Magic, Ash of the Witch, Stasis Gem, Tempered Plate, and this Guardian's Ward. Now here in the early game, in this scenario, I was in the mid lane, as we had a Severog who had to go in the off lane with Kwong in the jungle. So the very first ability is maybe not what you would think. It's actually his E ability, his oil spill. Scorch spits out a blob of oil that applies oil, which deals damage and applies burn when ignited by fire, by either his basic attack or his turrets. So you have to apply your E on your target and then hit a basic attack or have your turret ignite that oil. Now it does 80 to 245 damage and has a power scaling of 1.0625. It hurts. If you put a lot of power on Iggy and Scorch, the E is actually a really good source of burst. It's actually kind of strange on Iggy and Scorch with such a sustained damage hero and turrets and all that nonsense. His E is a surprising amount of burst damage. Well, I'm not going to lie. The cooldown's only 8 seconds, so you can use this quite a bit, but the mana cost is fairly significant, so you can't really use it too much. Here in the early game, his E is actually, depending on which lane, especially in the mid lane, you can maybe get away with the turrets a little bit more. It's actually probably the better wave clear and the better hold the enemy at bay ability, just because the turret, the enemies can attack it, take it down before it really does any value. So you can see I use it here on Skull Kid 208. Actually deals quite a bit of damage. We don't get it, and I do believe I end up dying. So this is unfortunate. It is actually really quite powerful. So don't hesitate to use the E to keep the lane at bay and especially defend it. Now, the second ability that you saw me get here is, of course, his turret. It is his flame turret. You throw at a turret that deals ability damage. Turrets have limited fuel and will priority targets that Iggy is damaging. So you gotta be, if you want it to attack a certain hero, it will prioritize heroes, but if if there's multiple heroes, if you attack one with your basic attack, it will focus that target. Now, it does 300 to 750 damage over 10 seconds. So, if a target actually stays within the turrets and you have 3 of them, oh boy, it's actually a lot of damage. The mana cost it's substantial here in the early game. Late game, not so much. So you do have to be careful. And the turret health is 200 to 650. So carries and high damage dealers will take your turrets out, but you can certainly put them down in safer areas or just behind minions, for example, which works great in lane. Put them behind your minions so that the enemy laner can't really attack that turret. They have to like get in a weird spot and harass them and stuff like that. So very, very important. The power scaling is out of this world at 2.5. So again, power on Iggy and Scorch actually really, really, really hurts. It's just that everything is so situational with Iggy. The cooldown's 4 seconds, so you can't just go boom, 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 and there's your 3 turrets. You have to kind of set up, which is a big part of playing Iggy and Scorch. You gotta set up for a defensive, or gotta really make sure that you're really hitting your turret. You're just placing down your turrets as fast as you can if you are, attacking a tower, attacking an objective, etc., etc. Now, it does reward CXP when the enemy kills it, so you can't be spamming your turrets like crazy and just letting the enemy laner, or anybody really, kill them for free. So you have to be careful. You can see I'm putting my turrets here right behind my minions, so that it really helps against the enemy laner here. As a big tip, I like to put it like right there, especially behind the siege minion or just melee minion or something like that. It's actually quite funny to see the enemy laner trying to attack the turret, but they can't really. So now, when you're upgrading it, level 2 you get 2 turrets, and then level 4 you get 3 turrets. It is very valuable to upgrade your turrets as much as possible. It just depends on if you can actually get away with using the turrets appropriately, and that's the really hard part. The thing about Iggy and Scorch that is really the most questionable. Now, one of the reasons why I feel so safe pushing this tower up is because of his escape ability, his right mouse button. It's called Oil Slick. Scorch gains a movement speed bonus and leaves a trail of flammable oil behind him. This trail can be ignited and will apply burn. So it's his escape ability. What happens is, for 40 mana, it's really cheap. You can use it to get back into lane like I do here. It's really cheap. You use it. It lasts for 2 to 4 seconds, and you gain 200 max movement speed, I do believe. There, you can see, there you go. I use it here. Very small amount of mana to get back into lane, and it is your escape ability. It does scale off. It does reduce as over that duration, but it's okay. It's okay. It was buffed a couple patches ago, and it's much better than it was before. The oil duration lasts for 10 seconds. And of course, that burn is just, I think, 1% of the enemy's health over 4 seconds, something like that. So it just adds up. If somebody's really trying to harass you, you can just kind of do ring around the rosy around your turrets with the oil going on, and then you can burn that, and then you get another stack, stuff like that. It's just his escapability, and it's okay. Now we get to his ultimate, which is actually pretty darn cool. Now, Scorch, your little monster here that Iggy is riding, spews flames from his mouth, and you can actually see me using it right here. That's the flames, and it does a fair amount of damage here as I go and here attack this Chimera. It's a pretty significant ability that you saw me there to deal a fair amount of damage. Now you see all my turrets are doing a pretty good amount of damage to all of those heroes there, and really helps out my allies here, take them down. So I was a good position. I felt actually good, kind of having them in that area, kind of containing them, putting down my turrets, and providing that damage. Unfortunately, my team can't really coordinate to get those kills. If you use that little bit of burst I was talking about, I use my oil spill, and I think there's a replay bug here. Kind of blow up that Richter. This Kalari here is going to town on me. I'm like, why am I trading with the Kalari? I'll just back up to my minions and use them. You see, I get the kill there as well, and then the Kalari just kind of comes out of nowhere. So always trying to reposition to a place that's favorable for Iggy. Something that channels the enemy, something that holds the enemy in place. Iggy is very much a objective-based hero. On a tower, defending a tower, sieging a tower, taking in doing the Raptors, doing our prime, just kind of in any random place. Iggy and Scorch really doesn't do quite well. Now finally we can finish talking about his ultimate. Scorch spews flames from his mouth, dealing ability damage over 2.5 seconds and applying a burn. At the end of the duration, or if you reactivate your ultimate, you press R again, to cancel it earlier, Scorch belches, and enemies in the cone are knocked back. So there is a knockback, to disrupt an enemy out of a channeled ultimate or something like that. There is a knockback, and that you can use that to hit people into stuns, into towers, into favorable positions, etc., etc. Now the ability damage is actually fairly substantial. 325 to 575, again, that's over the 2.5 seconds. Mana cost, okay. The duration, again, 2.5 seconds. The power scaling, though, is, again, 1.5625. It's a lot. Iggy and Scorch really gets a lot of value out of power. It's just so unfortunate that his viability to use that damage is extremely situational. So it is unfortunate. And the cooldown is very quick, 90 to 60 seconds. You can use that a lot to your favor. Hit enemies into your turrets, into towers. We've already mentioned that. So there is a gank component to Iggy and Scorch, believe it or not, and that's using your ultimate. You can use it again fairly often, 90 to 60 seconds, to hit enemies, towards your towers, towards your fellow laners. It has kind of a gank potential. You can use your E into your ultimate, and then that's a fair amount of burst. Your ultimate obviously does a lot of damage. And a very important thing about his ultimate is that you can use all of his other abilities while you're using your ultimate. Because Scorch, the thing that Iggy is riding, I don't know what it is exactly, but because he is doing it, Iggy on top can still use his basic attack, still throw turrets, still use your right click as well. So Iggy and Scorch, you can use like all of your abilities at once and just like compound them and just do crazy things. So be mindful. You can still use your basic attacks, use your turrets, use your E, and even use a right click while you're using your ultimate. So you can be putting down turrets while your ultimate, all that kind of stuff. So there is quite a bit of potential to kind of combo everything with Iggy and Scorch. So here is me pressing the pressure, compounding the pressure. The Quan goes hard in there. I put my E on both the Chimera and Iggy and Scorch. Look at that damage. It is fairly substantial. I use my ultimate to try to reposition that Chimera towards my team. Unfortunately, he ducked down over the ledge, and that stopped it. I don't know. here I come over here to try to kill the Twin Blast. I do. The Kalari comes over here. I'm like, oh, let's just go back to our Twin Blast here and help him out. And then he's like, oh no, get away, Iggy. So we put our turret, my thing there, we stand on it and we get it. Oh, okay. Now, upgrading, like I said, our turrets, we want to upgrade that as much as possible. I think, just because we have been doing a good job defending and sieging objectives, so I'm getting away with that. Upgrading our E, of course, is very important. Now, as you can see here, that mana and healer token very strong in the early game, just because Iggy does have mana issues. We go into our ward here, fantastic. Our Burn Blood Powder, fantastic. Elder Mage Amulet I chose to go into just because that health, I really needed that. And that Stasis Gem, like I said earlier, very powerful. And I do use that at some key points to kind of get everybody's attention, focus them in my turrets, and then I just hit Stasis Gem. 2.5 seconds of invulnerability as they're trying to hit me in my turrets. Now with this amount of damage, you can do something really cool with Iggy and Scorch. I'm like, okay, I'll just put down a turret. I'll walk over here, get the gold buff. I'll walk over here, get a turret, and watch these last hits from my turrets come in. Actually, you can see, okay, again, a replay bug. You can see my CXP here going up. And I'm doing A-okay. Now I'm like, Kalari, I don't think you actually can win this trade. If I have 3 of my turrets down on the ground, my E, my ultimate, she can't really do very much. So I'm just going to stay in my turrets. And we'll be A-okay. Fantastic split push potential on Iggy and Scorch. You just put down that turret in the lane wave. It pushes for you. You go and put down your ward to keep you safe. You go back, you get the gold buff. You get a white camp even. Easy peasy. Now here our phase gets taken out, and I'm sensing that they're going to kind of push their advantage. So this Chimera goes down. I'm like, okay, let's put my turret. I'm going to slowly kind of put my turrets down here, force them to walk through that. Now here you can see I just barely missed the knockback on my ultimate. So like you can cancel it early to knock enemies away, and I just missed it on that Chimera's ultimate. I could have mitigated his ultimate on my friendly Kwong there. Fortunately, I don't do it early enough. We all get away, but they have to walk through my turrets. I mean, you can tell they're not really all that much damage, unfortunately. But here, look at this. They're all a little bit low. I use my ultimate on 3 people, 2 people. I use my Stasis Gem here. They're all kind of like swinging away. I gave my allies 2 seconds anyways, but unfortunately, again, nothing really happens. Nothing really happens with it. If your team can coordinate you using your Stasis Gem and using the fact that your allies, that the enemies are kind of focused on you, it can, I think, have some good effect.
An enemy has been slain.
Now, don't underestimate Iggy's the little bit of burst that he does have. Watch this as I use my oil spill there on 3 people. I use my ultimate on 2 people there. Anyways, the Kalari kind of went off, and look at that. You can coordinate with your team. You can provide something. Definitely provide something. As I got picked up the kill there on that Kalari, and I was like, oh, fantastic! Now let's just push up this tower, super easy, and Iggy and Scorch pushing down a siege. Like if you are sieging an enemy base, an enemy tower, anything, it's kind of scary. It's kind of scary. You can just lay down those turrets. Your turrets can actually take the aggro from the towers. If you're not in the tower, if you're not in the tower radius, your turrets will take it, and then once you step in, then it'll focus. Then the tower will focus you. Your turrets can act like mini heroes. You can see there, my turrets taking that tower. It's quite impressive. The pressure that Iggy and Scorch can bring to your team. You can't forget about it. Now, I make a bit of a boo-boo here in that I start upgrading my tempered plate without that Guardian's Ward health. You want that health as a caster before anything else, as it is definitely the most important in increasing your effective HP. We obliterate the Richter and Kalari there. Again, he can do something. As long as Iggy and Scorch isn't picked, he can do something here. I'm like, hey, Get out of here, Chimera, as I'm trying to just be a nuisance here and help out my Twin Blast. So I'm trying to take him down as much as possible. We finally get him down, and I'm like, Twin Blast is just being a little bit too aggressive. I came in there to help you peel for you, but unfortunately, nothing happens. So he can be a presence. That little bit of burst with his E and his ultimate definitely surprised the enemy. Now, the enemy team got Orb Prime, and I'm not worried, but watch this wombo combo here. Kaboom! But watch me cancel that Chimera's ultimate with mine. I had to cancel it early there, and I finally got it to work. I was like, yes! Yes! Finally! I was like, yeah, Chimera, you're so prevalent. Today's meta, I got a lot of guard, I got a lot of my health now, I got my Thermobond now for your ultimate, and your root, and your slow, and all that stuff. It doesn't have a root, but yes! I'm anti-Chimera right now. Fantastic, and there you go. And me finally being able to get that knockback right at the appropriate time. Fantastic. So at this point, you can see I'm just fulfilling my role as Frontline. I know, Frontline Iggy, with some barrier for that burst. I'm definitely starting to notice all of that guard, which I know casters need a lot of health before this guard can really come into play in terms of the EHP, but in terms of just in terms of just basic damage, this is fine. So I'm being a little bit inefficient, but a lot of the damage is from that Chimera, from the sustained damage I'm feeling. So this is fine. That's what I'm choosing to do. Now, check out this ridiculously prolonged engagement that only helps with the fact that I have a Tainted Magic and our Ash of the Witch. I come here, try to get this Chimera off of my phase, and I'm like, oh, you want to fight in close quarters? I'll just put down my turrets, baby, and my Tainted Magic has taken 8% of their health off, or 2% every second, basically, and the Slash of the Witch is slowing them in all of these turrets. Look at this prolonged, just ridiculous, gnarly engagement here. Go to town. I am super tanky. Look at my health. We're trying to kill this Iggy and Scorch, and we finally do. Take a look. This is just ridiculous. I'm at half health. I burned through all of my mana. The Tainted Magic had great effect there. Everybody taking all of that damage from my turrets, getting it applied all the time. It's basically 2% of their current health every second that they're just getting hit by my turrets. The Ash of the Witch is slowing them down so that my enemies kite, so my friendlies can kite them better. Oh, it's just fantastic. I didn't even need my stasis gem. That felt really good, and that's what you want. Iggy and Scorch, you just want a prolonged engagement, close quarters, or on a objective. Oh, that felt great. So at this point, we're at 60 CP at the 41-minute mark. I'm actually doing really well according to from the rest of my team. I choose to get one of the greater healths in here. I could have gotten 2 of them, but there's a fair amount of burst with that Chimera, and the Chimera, the Kalari, the Richter CC, and the and just that Twin Blast triple rapid fire. So I chose to do that, even though it's basic damage. I chose to do that at least, and then yeah, fully upgrade that, and that was it. That's the whole build. I was super duper tanky at this prolonged siege of their inhibitor. I was just feeling fantastic. I was like, yeah, baby, just keep going. What I should have been doing was not placing my turrets inside the core range. I should have maybe put them right on the outside, just along this, just because there's no advantage for the core focusing anything, because it doesn't. It's just AoE damage. So you can see, look at just my tankiness. I'm like, here, yes, attack me, baby. There's a stasis gem in here. I die, but the core goes down. What a fantastic game. It was so much fun to play against Scorch. Kind of a ridiculous deck. I don't know. Let me know down in the comments, guys, what you think. Stasis Gem, a little bit of power. Tainted Magic, a little bit of power. But the Spell Burn, that's really what you want. Guardian's Ward for a ton of health that you really need as a you know, as a caster if you want to be tanky. Ash of the Witch with a little bit of power, and then Tempered Plate for a whole bunch of guard. Thermobond for that fantastic, because, you know what, you're just so susceptible to CC and crowd control and stuff, so if they focus you, that only hurts them more, because you got that guard and barrier. Oh man, it's just fantastic. Guys, let me know down in the comments what you guys think of Frontline Iggy. If I had to pick, I think this would be his meta deck, I guess, because I think he's just too squishy, too susceptible to damage, to crowd control. Just he can get focused too quickly and taken out, and then his turrets and everything else don't have enough time to be of effect. So I think this is what synergizes best with his kit at this current moment. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think. Please like this video if you like it, dislike it if you dislike it, share with the community, please, because I haven't seen a Iggy, it's like a serious Iggy and Scorch deck. I can't remember. I'm pretty sure RDSA has probably done one, but please share it with the community. And of course, guys, subscribe if you guys like this content, found it useful. Please subscribe so I can do it for you in the future. Until next time, like always, stay optimistic and positive.